Good morning. Today is it's Friday the 13th of September 2024, and I'm going to go through my trading plan for today. Before we start, let's take a look and see what news could move the market. Excuse me, I just had some really spicy tuna salad using my own grown chilies, really spicy. Made it into like a little mayonnaise inside the tuna, and my mouth's on fire at the moment. I should have eaten this probably about an hour ago. But anyway, news today, 8:30 we had export prices, import prices. Wasn't much move on the market at all, and we do have consumer sentiment coming in at 10 AM, so keep an eye on 10 AM. So I probably won't be in any trades until after that point. Just quickly looking at the daily chart. We can see there's a an ascending triangle or wedge shape forming. We've got a lower high and a higher low, depends which way. This could obviously go in any one of two directions. We could see it start to narrow down and then either break out or break down, depends on how the market moves. Volume wise, we've had a slight increase in volume over the last few days, potentially showing that there could be more interest in prices coming up to here. Maybe you could say that there's hedge funds or the smart money actually getting rid of some of their shares. But we just need to keep an eye on that. There's a few little anomalies in there as well. You can see we've got this big wide range candle on slightly above average volume, and then we got the day before we got a narrow range or a smaller candle but on below average volume, and the prior day we got a slightly larger candle and then the same below average volume. So there's a few things which we can watch for, but at the moment I'm keeping an eye on the daily. Potentially we can watch for a reject around there. I may look to take some more SQQQ calls, which is the inverse to the QQQ, if the price gets up here on Qs, but we'll look at that in a minute. So let's just go into our hourly and look at some levels for today. So we're coming right into this big area of volume on this. We've got this big volume shelf up here as well. You can see we consolidated for quite some time around there, wasn't able to break out, and we created that second pivot for this trend line, for this ascending wedge we just looked at, and then we sold up. So we've got this big area supply at 56.46 area, so that is a rejection point I'll be watching, and also I'll be watching for the rejection off of the trend line. Looking more closely for rejection points, you could potentially watch where we've got the point of control. We've got all this volume, and this red line shows us where the most volume is on this chart at the moment, around that area. So we can watch 56.28, 56.30 for a rejection. You can see we've got a couple levels there, and it's an area of confidence, bottoms of pivots, tops of pivots, bottoms and pivots there, and quite a lot of volume in that area. So that's an area to watch as well. Looking strong though, looking, you know, since we came down, we came back down, we tested that trend line, came back up, we haven't really turned back. Quite a narrow range day yesterday, and we've broken out from it in the pre-market, and we're retesting. So I do quite like the retest around yesterday's high. Potentially could watch the retest at pre-market high as it's above the 20 moving average, and then maybe the break and retest at pre-market high. I will be honest, I've tried a lot of break and retest pre-market highs over the last month, and not as a large percentage of them, I'm not sure the exact percentage, a large percentage of them has failed. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Most of the failures have happened in the first hour of the day, and then eventually gone off, and the trade which I wanted to do kind of happened after midday, so maybe just bear that in mind. If we lose pre-market high, I'm looking for a break and retest. You can see the trend line is coming up, and it will be a break of trend as well, so I'll be looking for a potential double top, maybe a double top, or even a head and shoulders pattern. And then for bounces, could watch this area, potentially this area here, which is 55.86 for the bounce. Better down at 55.58 area. We've got a breakout, a retest that area. We've got a couple of pivots there as well, and we've got a pivot there. And you could argue a couple of pivots in that area as well. So this is my prime area for the bounce, is 55.58, 55.60 area for the bounce, and this will be a, you know what, I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm just going to go with decent setups. We'll be coming back down and retesting this 50 moving average as well. So I'm going to watch, no, that's, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to watch 55.60 area for the bounce, this region here. If we sell off even further, then we've got obviously this area of confidence down at 5500, 5507, and we can watch that area of bounce as well. And also we can watch, if we sell off, we've got this trend line area as well. Maybe not until next week, but we watch for a bounce around that area as well. And that coincides with a psychological number and also the levels we're watching, area of confluence. I think that's it. So I'll recap quickly. I'm going to watch for a higher risk, because I'm calling it higher risk now, break and retest of pre-market high, but we are coming into that point of control. I'm watching for a potential bounce in this region, and if we don't bounce pre-market low and it breaks down, I'm looking for a retest short. And then we've got this higher risk 55.58 bounce. No, sorry, we've got this higher risk 55.80 bounce, and then 55.58 is the area I'm watching purely because of the pivots, and there's a little bit of extra volume in that region as well. But that's it really for ES. SPY is going to be very similar. I'll come back to ES and look at the order flow in a minute. Yeah, so SPY is a bit more, we've got the all-time highs. We can watch for a rejection in this region. There's two levels, 563 and 564.80. If we come back down to 557.87, 556, we can watch out for a bounce. But the prime area is 555, this region here, for the bounce, and that's only because we've got areas of confluence, and we've got tops and middle, tops of candles. That's it for SPY. SPX, I've just explained that as well. Keep an eye, got to see levels, all-time highs. Is that all-time? No, not quite all-time highs. We've got all-time highs there. So this is a region to watch for rejections. Probably plenty of volume up here as well. And we're right at the point of control at the moment, yesterday. NQ. Here we go, we've broken out yesterday over this trend line, so I do quite like the retest of this trend line. Remember, we connected that point to that point, and you can see we ran down the trend line there, so I quite like the bounce at yesterday's low area. It's an area we're watching as well, pivots, and there's three areas, so area confluence, so 19,200 for the bounce. Long wise, potentially a break and retest of pre-market high, which is also the same as yesterday's high, but we do have the point of control above, so we could watch that for a higher risk or more of a scalp, trade it up. And then we've got a couple of rejection points. Obviously 19,600 is a rejection point because that's our point of control, but 19,739 to 1980, this area here. Okay, QQQs. Yeah, I still like 47.14 rejection point, area confluence, tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, lots of touches of candles and the bodies. So 477 to 478 rejection. Potentially coming into a rejection point of 475 as well. So we can basically watch this entire area for rejection. What we want to see it do, we want to see it break that trend, come back up, retest that region, and then sell off. So that's what we're looking for confirmation. Bounce wise, I like this area here because of those two pivots. Yesterday's low, so we can watch 465, 464 for the bounce. Crude oil, it's broken the trend line, didn't really do too much to retest it, but we did retest it perfectly. We came back, retested that trend line there, came back out, retested a level there as well, so this is an area is watching for a bounce. And then we can watch this area. One thing I like about oil, it's really predictable because you can see these zones. You've got this zone here, and it's more likely it's going to be testing these zones. Got this zone here, so these are the regions we can watch as well. And I quite like the rejection at 71.66 to 72 because we've got this big pivot there. Bit of volume comes in at that point as well, and we're getting close to the trend line. So 71.66 rejection, or break and retest a pre-market high long. If we pull back, we can watch a bounce at pre-market low and a bounce at yesterday's low. Not sure if I can see a inverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head. It's really, that's our neckline. Hasn't really put in another movement down. Maybe that could happen today. Gold. Looking really strong and bullish. We broke out of this wedge pattern. We've tested it a few times, and now we've broken out over original all-time high. So the only place is a bounce at 25.63, yesterday's low area. And we're in no man's land now. There's no levels to go by, so it's a matter of just playing the pullbacks and then watching it push up. So that's all I suggest. Higher risk, you can probably watch for a bounce off pre-market low, or if we break out over pre-market high, we can watch for a pullback. That's it for gold. Next this is the RTY Russell 2000. Again, I like the break and retest of pre-market low. We're above the big volume shelf there, so probably if we come back down into yesterday's high, I quite like the bounce in that region here, 21,500, 2150 to 2140, and potentially the break and retest of pre-market high. I struggled a lot this month with pre-market high breakouts, even the breaks and retests. Potentially I'm not giving it enough space, or potentially I'm just letting it break it and come back in the same candle sometimes. What I really want to see is a bit of space and an air gap. I want to see it come back with a gap, so I can actually see a gap between the retests. Bounce wise, we can watch 2094, 2100 area, psychological number there, and potentially that 2113, but I prefer yesterday's low area, this area here for the bounce. And we've got the rejection up at 2188 as well. That's an area of confidence, big area, daily and hourly level. So this area here, 2180 to 2190 rejection. YM, this is the Dow Jones. Oh, I do quite like, this is probably one of my favourite looking ones today. Got this big area of confluence, bottoms of candles, tops of candles, and we're coming right into it now. What I really want to say is low, and if we lose that, we can watch for the break and retest down into that trend line. Let's just look at the daily for a second. Looking pretty bullish on the daily. You know, we've been in this sideways action for the last 2 years, going nowhere really, and then finally this year breaking out in July, broken out, and we're above that pivot as well, and we're right up here. So yeah, I do quite like that. Volume wise, on the last few days, big push up on that bottom tail candle, that's a good sign. Reducing volume coming into that, not much. And then quite average volume yesterday, but it's a small range candle. Yeah, nothing significant, but I do quite like, notice how we broke out, retested 4694, this yellow line I've drawn, and literally right on it, and that was yesterday. So that's a weekly or daily level. Let's go back to the hourly, that area there, look at that, smack bang on. That's it. I don't really want to go short on this. I like the long. Okay, and then lastly, Bitcoin. Let's see where we are with Bitcoin. kind of hanging around the last few days. Look at the daily instead. Yeah, we've kind of been hanging around. Looks like we want to potentially break out. We had a pullback and a bottom tail. Not much volume here. So we saw increase in volume coming into the sell-off, but not a massive amount of value on the pullback, which could be just a pullback on the, and then potentially look for the rejection. If we break out and come back and retest, it could be a good long at 58,900. But we are still within this big bullish pattern, this big cup and handle pattern, this pattern here, and we're kind of holding that channel. So we'd like to see it come back up here for a bit, and then maybe come back down, and then let's see it kind of break out. That's what I like to see it do. And these would be my add points as well down here. Okay, let's go back to ES, and we look at some order flow. Just remind ourselves of the levels we're watching. So we're looking for a break and retest of pre-market high, yesterday high, pre-market low area long. I'm quite bullish on this at the moment, and we have got increasing volume on the volume profile with the point of control, and this top of the trend line is our rejection area. So, and then if we pull down into this region, I quite like the bounce as well. I'll watch the bounce here as well. So let's just take a look at order flow. So you've got 4 charts. The top left is the 5-minute footprint. Top right is the 10 range, so the 10 tick footprint, which is what I use mainly. Bottom left is a 30-minute filtered. So what you're seeing is a 30-minute candle, but only filtering high volume nodes. So high volume. So just gives us an idea where the high volume is. A bit like bookmap really. And then these red lines show us where there is orders waiting. So this is what orders have happened. These are where orders are waiting, and the thicker the line, the more orders are waiting. So there's over 200 orders on each line, you see. And you can see that in the output area here as well. If you get a star, that would be a thick red line. So you can see there's 3,000 orders there sitting at 52.50. We're away from there, so that's just, we're not going to get anywhere near there, but potentially shows you where there might be buyers sitting in the future. And this is the chart I pay most attention to, this one here. This is the cumulative delta divergence. So we've got the 2-minute candlestick on the top, and we've got the cumulative delta on the bottom. And that basically means where we've got aggressive buying and aggressive selling. So when we get aggressive selling, we see it come down. Aggressive buying, it comes up. And we're kind of hovering around the 0 mark here. So it's kind of neutral at the moment. If we see a lot of aggressive buying, it can go up in the thousands, and again in the negatives down here. So that's what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at the volume on the cumulative. I'm looking at volume and delta. So I'm looking for green is a good indication of a reversal. So we've got negative delta minus 157. We had 100% minimum delta was 157 as well. You know, we had a few aggressive buyers come in, but the buyers weren't strong enough, and we put in this red candle, and I was thinking that was green delta. If that was a green delta, then it would be show reversal. But one thing I see, we've got unfinished business at the top there, 33 and 124, 19 and 186. So it's likely the price is going to come back up to those points, and it basically means there's bids and offers still sitting up there, and they haven't quite been filled. You should really see a 0 on the bid and a number on the ask, and the same at the bottom. If we're coming down, you can see we've got 25 on the bid, 25 on the bid, 0 on the ask. So that's finished. And as soon as we start seeing things left over, like up here, then you, or if you had some left over down there, you might see the price come back. But I don't use that, it's just a general guide. We could see it come back. Grab those orders, grab the orders left over from that, and then you could see it reverse. But there's nothing really standing out. There's one thing you can see, we've got a slight increase in delta, but the price has stayed the same, but nothing significant. It's kind of setting up how you expect to do, and it's barely an increase in delta as well. Like I said, it's pretty neutral, sitting around the 0 point. We've got a lot of bigger orders in this region here from the 30-minute. So it could act as potential resistance, or if we break out, it could act as a potential support area, and then we can use that as a stop instead of using the bottoms of the candles. Kind of that's how I would find my stops. But I can't see anything standing out right now, other than the fact that we're probably going to come back up to there and back up to there. But it doesn't always happen. Usually it does. Okay, let's just flip back to my main screen, just go over the levels, and that's it. So on ES, I'm looking for the bounce. I'm bullish still, but I'm not going to be taking any trades until after 10 a.m. Eastern time, because we've got news at 10. We've got the consumer sentiment, so I'm going to hold off until then and see which way the market wants to go. If it looks bullish, then I'll be looking for a retest there or a retest there. If it's looking bearish after we sell off, I'll be looking for a break and retest of the pre-market high. But we do have a potential area of targets as well and bounces. That's it. Thank you for watching. Next week is going to be a bit different because I'm not going to be around. I'll be around Monday, but Tuesday onwards I'm going to be climbing in the Atlas Mountains, so I won't be doing live videos, and I will try to make sure the order flow stays up, but I can't guarantee it, so I don't know how good my remote connection will be. But thank you for watching, and I will be back on Monday.